Hey guys, I am very excited to come to you today with something that I have been waiting a long time to see for myself and to show you, and that is what's in this trunk. So over the last year or so, I have been listening to a couple of different podcasts about the American Girl dolls, which, if you aren't familiar, it was a set of dolls that came out in the late 80s to early 90s, where each doll was from a historical time period, and they represented like the age of the girls that were supposed to play with them. I think they were all like 9 to 10 years old, and they were from all over America as far as geography and historical periods. They came with like beautiful costumes, outfits, accessories, and books that went along with them that told like different stories throughout a year in their life. That's what the product was at the time that I got these dolls, and it's since expanded now. The company is owned by Mattel. The product line is much broader and kind of more modern. I think they focus now more on like current day dolls, like dolls that you can get to look like yourself and then just get them different outfits and things. But at the time that I was doing this, and I'm gonna try really hard not to like exact date myself, but at the time that I was doing this, there were 3 historic dolls. There was Kirsten, who was an immigrant from Sweden who moved to Minnesota in the United States in the 1800s. There was Samantha, who was a Victorian orphan living in New York around the turn of the 20th century. And there was Molly, who was living during World War II and dealing with her father being away at war and things going on in the home front. So that for me was like the end of elementary, beginning of middle school kind of years, and everything's kind of just been in this trunk ever since then in the house where I grew up, and I recently just brought it home. So I did take one small peek, but I really haven't gone through what's in here, and I wanted to do it on camera so we could kind of all reminisce together. Now, the podcast that I mentioned that I've been listening to, I'm sure there's tons more than this, but really there's 2 that I've been listening to. One is called Dolls of Our Lives, and it's sort of from like a historical perspective. They go through each of the historical dolls, which there's been many more since those first 3, and speak to like different experts and look at like different aspects of the history of those eras. The other podcast that I've been listening to is called American Girl Women, and so it's sort of like the people who had American girls now that they're grown up, you know, what was the impact of the dolls on their lives, what kind of stories and memories do they have about them, and it's really fun. But something that I noticed from listening to this, I'm sort of on the older end of the age scale, I think, of, you know, the people who had these dolls. Again, you know, when I got mine, there was only 3 to choose from, and it expanded greatly after that. And a lot of the people who go on this show mention like, oh, I got my first one when I was 5, and then I kept collecting more and more and more. So at the time when my friends and I had these, and also like everybody had one, everyone had one, but we really just all had one. There were only 3, and you just got your one. Shortly after the time when we were all starting to collect these, and we, you know, there was only those first 3, they did introduce a 4th doll, Felicity, who was from like the colonial Williamsburg, American Revolution kind of era. And I do know I had one friend who had one of the other ones, and then when Felicity came out, she got that as well. And that was like the only person I knew who had 2 American Girl dolls. So pretty much everyone just kind of stuck to their one, and rather than get a broad collection, we got a deep collection where you got your doll and then you got all of her different little outfits and accessories and things. So that's what I have in here. I haven't even told you which doll I have yet. So let me open up the trunk and we will start sorting through it together. So like I mentioned, I have taken a little bit of a peek in here, so I sort of know what to expect. This on top is actually a bag of all of the clothes, it looks like, so I'm gonna hold that until later. Majority of what I have, aside from this hat, which I guess didn't fit anywhere, is in its little maroon packages from the Pleasant Company, which was the company that made the American Girl dolls before it got sold to Mattel. So it looks like everything is like pretty well packed and organized in here, and this is the box that the doll herself actually comes in. So if you hadn't already guessed, I had a Kirsten doll. Kirsten was the Swedish immigrant, and a lot of people end up getting a doll that looks like them. So she has blonde hair and blue eyes, I have blonde hair and blue eyes. This is not the outfit that she comes in when you first get her, so we'll add one more outfit as we go through this. And another thing about the dolls, and something that I picked up from listening to these podcasts, is I had taken her hair out of the braids that it came in. Actually, here's a good picture. Wow, I saved so much stuff. Okay, so there's little, I guess booklets, that came with the different sets of products. But here in this picture, hopefully you can see, but she came with her hair in two little braids that you could let them down and let them be two long braids, or you could keep them kind of coiled up on the sides of her head. But in her springtime story, they let her braids down and brushed out her hair. So I was like, oh, I could take her braids out and, you know, brush her hair out. And the truth is that no, you cannot. And everyone who goes on these podcasts talks about how, you know, they made the mistake of like letting their doll's hair out of whatever style it came in, and it was such a mistake. So I don't know why they advertised that in, you know, it was in all the catalogs and it was in this little pamphlets. But really, from what I've learned now, is that their hair is like cut in such a way that it really is just meant to stay in that one hairstyle. So her hair was originally in braids. I did let it out at one point. It looks like I have it kind of gathered in a ponytail here. But this isn't, you know, what she originally looked like when I received her. So I'm going to lay her back in here for now, and let's kind of move on and go through the rest of these boxes and things that are in here, because I know I had a lot of Kirsten stuff. So I'm gonna take this little box. Oh gosh, wow, I kept everything so well packed. So here actually is her little doll hairbrush. This wasn't a Kirsten specific thing, but it was a brush you could get. And actually, I guess I'll pull out also, there's a little doll stand. I'm not sure if this was the one that came from Pleasant Company or if it was just a generic doll stand, but they sold some kind of just generic things that, you know, all the dolls could use, like doll stands and little storage cases and stuff. And then also in this box is her little, her own little doll that she played with, which actually I'm noticing also has her own hair in little braided loops. And, you know, she's made out of like little calico fabric. Wow, they're so detailed. Look, this doll even has little bloomers under her dress and a little apron and a shawl. But yeah, so everything is, you know, meant to portray that historical period, and there was probably some story along with this about how like they made her a doll out of scraps of fabric. So that was her doll that was from her like a initial collection of things, I guess. Oh, okay, this is one of my favorites. So these were items from her set of like school items, I guess. So there's this little tiny book called Farley's Fables, and it's actually a printed book that you can read. And this was like the level of detail that these things would have. I mean, this is probably, you know, a recreation of an actual historic book that, you know, school children would have used. And here it is, you know, a couple inches tall. And then also in here is this little candle that's in a candlestick that will kind of raise and lower. So I think it's one of those things that like as it burns out to like certain points, you can kind of raise it up higher and higher. So I guess that was part of her, you can take the candle out, that must have been part of her school items, I guess, maybe to read at night. And then this is one of my favorite items, and I see that I also even saved the tag that this comes with about how to open this box. But this was her little wooden lunchbox. So I don't want to break it, I'm not going to snap it together, but it's like this little wooden box with a little like burnt design on it. And then inside, here's how crazy detailed this all was. There's a little napkin cloth and all of her foods. And honestly, this is like my ideal lunch right now. She has a tiny little apple. She has a little loaf of bread. Here's her little bread loaf. and a tiny piece of cheese and a little piece of sausage. I mean, that all sounds like a good lunch to me. So I will store all this back the way that it came. Okay, here's one that's not quite, oh good. I was hoping I would find these. Okay, so I think that these items must be, well, some of them are from her summer story and some of them are from her birthday story. Okay, so from the summer story, it must have been like a 4th of July kind of story. So there's a little tiny American flag, and of course it's, it would have been the style, let's see, it says 1854. So this is like the number of stars that would have been on the flag in 1854. There's a little pamphlet or flyer for the events of the 4th of July in Maryville, Minnesota Territory, and it lists all of the people, where things are, what they're doing. You know, they're singing, praying, singing a hymn. There's an oration, a chorus, so little flyer of the event. And then there's a little box, a little wooden box that says Kirsten's Honey with 2 honey jars, and you can actually open them. They're empty, but they each have a little cork, and they're like nice little real ceramic jars. I forget exactly what the story was in her like summertime story, but I believe that it was something where her like Native American friend maybe had shown her where there was a beehive, and I think there was something with bears that she came across in the woods, but she was trying to get the honey, I guess, to sell. But also in this box are these items from her springtime story. So I think most of the characters, most of the different girls had some story, and it was usually probably their birthday springtime story where there was an animal that you could get. I know like Molly had a little dog, Felicity had a horse, somebody had a lamb, I think, but Kirsten had a cat with its own little baby kitten, and I've heard mixed things about them, you know, in the years since, that they were sort of creepy looking, and actually looking at them now, like, I remember thinking they were really cute. They're very soft, but they both have their tongues sticking out, and it's sort of weird that the kitten is posed the way it is. So here's the mom cat, I guess, and here's the kitten. I don't know. Leave me a comment and tell me if you think these are cute or creepy, but I guess for her birthday, Kirsten got a cat. This box is a little dusty inside as well, but I think it's probably because of these things possibly shedding a little bit over the last however many years. Okay, so here's some of the bigger boxes. I'm not sure what this... Ooh, okay. So this is actually some of my favorite items of hers as well. These were from her winter story. Oh my gosh. Wow, I packed everything so well. And this is interesting because, like I said, I guess there were little like flyers that came with each set of items. So this is the little flyer from her winter story, and you can see kind of what the items are. There's an outfit, and then there's different little accessories you could get. So as part of her winter story, she had these little snowshoes, and like, look how detailed they are. They have leather straps, and then they're all you know, woven or strung with whatever kind of string or rope this is supposed to be. So she has her snowshoes, and then this was a little toy where there's a picture of a bird cage on one side and a picture of the bird on the other side, and you can spin this thread and it sort of makes it's like an early animation, but it spins and makes it look like the bird is in the cage. And there's also a little tiny pair of socks, which I guess I never even took out of their little bag. I guess they just call it her hand knit woolens. I guess those are supposed to be wool socks. And then there was also a set of paper dolls, so it looks like they were punched out, so this is the card that they were punched out from, but there was a little explanation of, you know, they all have like a detailed history, so there's an explanation of how she would have cut out like things from catalogs, or, you know, and dreamed of having them for herself. And so here is a little envelope, I guess, that they gave you to store them in. So here's all the little cut out paper doll pieces. And they're very detailed with little hats and everything, so I don't want to lose any of these pieces. And then finally in her winter story is her carpet bag. So you might have heard people being referred to as carpetbaggers, but it's an actual thing, a carpet bag that I guess was, you know, made out of carpet so as not to waste anything. It feels like, I'm not sure what this is, a small shell. I must have put a little shell or something in here, but it's just, I mean, it's made out of like this beautiful kind of tapestry fabric. It has this leather trim, these little handles, a little strap to hold it shut. So I forget what the story was in her winter book, but maybe she was traveling or someone traveled to them that she would have seen this kind of bag. And this is probably the largest box in here, and I'm gonna guess what this is, and I think it actually might be something girl-sized, human-sized. Yep, I was right. So they did make, in addition to all the different clothes and things for the dolls, they also made matching girl-sized outfits for a lot of the items. And I never had any of the matching outfits, but I did have this one piece, which was the St. Lucia crown. So you've probably seen these with the candles in them. I don't know, I guess it would fit an adult human as well. And so here's the little candles that go in it, and they have light bulbs, but I'm not sure if they just get activated by going into the crown. So I'm not sure how they actually turn on, like if you're supposed to screw and unscrew the light bulbs. These light bulbs very well maybe did, although, you know, they wouldn't have been used that much. I don't even think I ever really wore this, but I'm not going to put them all in. There's 5 different candles, but you know, you would wear this, and this was part of Kirsten's Christmas story as well. So I probably have a little Kirsten-sized one of these, and she wore it with a white gown and did the St. Lucia thing for her family. There's also a bunch of extra light bulbs in here, so I guess if I really wanted to, I could try and see if just the old bulbs were the problem, but yeah, I'm not sure how to make this operate. So here is kind of a smallish box. Oh, okay. All right, so I'll start with this item. This actually goes with her St. Lucia set. And so the story was that, you know, this was a Swedish tradition, and I guess they weren't going to be able to do it in their new home in Minnesota for some reason, but Kirsten got all the stuff together and pulled off the St. Lucia tradition on her own. And the tradition was that the daughter, or the oldest daughter, the youngest daughter, I'm not sure, gets pastries and brings them to the family wearing the crown with the greenery and the candles, and she wears a white gown. So this is her little tray that she carried, and it has 2 little pastries just made of clay, and then a tiny little candle that sits on the tray in a heart-shaped kind of candle holder. And there's also just a cloth kind of placemat over the tray, and a decorative piece of greenery with a bow on it just to decorate the tray. So this is how she would have carried her little tray with her little flower crown. And then also in this box I had stored her school supplies. So in addition to that book that was, you know, an actual book that you could read, she also has this other booklet. This is The Child's First Reader, and I'm not seeing a date on here specifically, but it looks like it goes through the alphabet and has simple sentences and things. And again, this is probably just a reproduction of an actual book that would have existed at that time. And I'm sure there's some story about this bag, how it was like made out of scrap material that someone would have had. And also inside here she has a chalkboard, and in this outer pocket I know there's a piece of chalk that you can actually use to write on the chalkboard, so I know that that works. And there's also a ruler on the outside, which claims to be a foot long, but it's more like 2 inches. And there's some other little papers and things in here. Oh, there's it looks like awards that Kirsten would have gotten, like certificates for doing a good job in school. They were bundled together with a small rubber band, and as you might know, rubber bands kind of disintegrate over time, so this is kind of fallen apart. Oh, and there's also a little cloth to erase the chalkboard after you write on it. This big box. Okay, this is Kirsten's St. Lucia crown. So here you can see how it's meant to look with all of the candles in it, and again, this is what she would have worn on her head when she came down to celebrate with her family. And I also have the little pamphlet in here about her Christmas story, so it just shows her, oh, I guess the little doll was part of her Christmas accessory set. I would have thought that she came to America with that, but I guess, you know, it kind of summarizes what each of the books was about. So here it says, you know, her family was like missing their traditions in Sweden, and so she decided to plan the celebration for her family, and she wore the dress and the crown and brings them coffee and sweet buns on a tray, lighting her way with the candle. And it just explains what each of the little elements of this set are. So they were really smart in the way that they sold these things, because when you get the doll, it just comes with its initial outfit, and then even with that first initial outfit, there's a book you can get, Meet Kirsten or Meet whoever, and there's another little set of accessories, and then for each of these subsequent storylines, there's a book, there's an outfit, and there's a set of accessories. So there's like 3 more things really to buy with each story. So one more box here in the front, and this looks like it's from her summer story. So this hat that didn't have a home, this is the hat that goes with her summer outfit with the little berries on it, a little flat kind of straw hat. And then in this box are all of the accessories of her summer story, which I remember being really grossed out by. I'll show you, it's not gross. But so her summer story, I think, involved like going fishing. And so she has, well, so here is a little wooden whistle, a little bird-shaped whistle. And then she has this beautiful woven basket with a removable lid that I believe she used to like store the fish that she would have caught. And this is another little basket though. Oh, maybe this is the basket that she puts her bait in, and it has a little cloth lining. These items I think were her bait or other things that she found at the river. There are these fairly realistic little rubber grasshoppers that she would have used as bait, and this little tiny rubber frog. And then this is her fishing pole, and it looks like, I'm not gonna unwrap this string that I have carefully wound together, but it's actually 2 pieces, so you would put one at the end and it would double in length. But there's a little hook at the end, and there is a piece of cork that I guess is, I don't know why you'd want the cork on it, because wouldn't you want the hook to sink? But I don't know. There's a piece of cork. And then here are the fish that she would have caught. So again, they're like these pretty realistic. There's 3 of them, these little rubber fish, and they all have a tiny loop in their mouth. So I guess you can hang one off of the hook of the fishing pole. And then finally, I'm not sure what this was meant to be. I don't think, yeah, okay, this is not part of her her summer story. I think this must have been from her winter story, and it's a kind of like tin with little tin punch designs and wood box, and you can open the door, and inside is this metal bowl. I'm thinking this was something where they might have put like hot coals and put it inside here, and that kind of locks shut even, and I think it would be like a little heater for them in their house maybe, or by their bed. So I'm not sure which story that would have come out of, but I think this is more of a wintertime accessory that just ended up in this box. But again, like, look at the detail of all these little baskets and things, the animals, the fish, the bugs, the tiny fishing pole. So that's the end of all the boxes, it looks like, but I also have in here this wooden bed. Now, I am pretty sure this is not the official Kirsten bed. So I've heard this on the podcast as well. People have mentioned this, and obviously I know that it was a fact, but you could buy some aftermarket American Girl products. So they did have a bed for each doll and some kind of storage closet for each doll. Kirsten's was a wooden trunk, and they were basically big enough for the doll to fit in. But obviously this trunk that I have is much larger than just the doll, and this bed is not the official Kirsten bed. So I'm also then pretty sure that there's like a pillow and a matching little kind of mattress pad. These were not the official Kirsten things. And there's also a beautiful little quilt, and I don't know who made that or if it came with the bed, but I think that there was a store that like some of my family members would shop at and get, you know, somebody made handmade American Girl doll sized clothes that just weren't the official items. And I think when we go through the bag of clothes, we'll also find a few, you know, non-official Kirsten outfits in that. So I guess before we do the other clothes, let's look at the Kirsten doll herself. So I know that this is like her like dirndl and kerchief outfit. So that's this little kind of laced up outfit here. It's sort of a flannelly material. There's a like a muslin shirt underneath, and then she has her little vest here, and she's also wearing this necklace, which was one of the accessories that you could get with her initial, you know, the original Meet the Doll outfit. And this is an amber heart, and I think it's like supposed to be one of the things that she brought with her from home in Sweden. And then she has like little bloomers on with a lace trim and woolly socks and leather boots. Now, one of the things that I wanted to look at was to see the color of her body, her torso. So apparently when the first 3 dolls came out, they had a white cloth body and then like, you know, skin colored arms and legs and head. And then when that 4th doll, Felicity, came out, her outfits were cut a little lower, and they realized they needed to give her like a flesh colored cloth body that would match the color of her arms and legs. So then they just started making all the dolls with a matching flesh colored body. So if you have one of the like earlier original Kirsten, Samantha, Molly dolls and it has a white body, those are like very rare and valuable. But I will say I peeked at this when I first brought it home a week ago, and it didn't look like it had a white body, but it was kind of dark, and I don't see how it couldn't be. But yeah, no, her body is definitely skin colored. So I guess I don't have the very rare and valuable white body Kirsten, but it was definitely like a couple of years before the Felicity doll came out. So they must have had the skin colored cloth bodies in the works, I guess. All right, so last but not least, we have this big bag of clothes, and I'll also just mention that it is in a shopping bag from a local, long defunct supermarket chain. Wow, there's so much in here. Okay, so I guess let's just go through it. And a lot of them also are on these American Girls collection hangers, and actually one of those hangers was in one of these other boxes. So I'll start with this one since it's just on the top. I don't think that this was an American Girls or Pleasant Company dress. I think this was one of those ones that my family got from somewhere else, and the main reason I'm guessing that is because although it looks very Kirsten, it does not close with Velcro on the back. It closes with teeny tiny buttons that I'm not even going to try to button right now. So the actual Pleasant Company products, for as detailed as they were, they pretty much all close with Velcro. So I don't think this was a legit Kirsten outfit. I'll also just pull these out since they started coming out. These are little felt booties. I think these were her slippers that she might have worn with, they all have like a nightgown or pajamas outfit. I believe these are her little wool felt slippers. And also at the top here is her little like white, or I guess cream and brown boots with, I guess, the matching socks or stockings that go with them. I'm pretty sure these go with what they called her work outfit, which I don't know why you would wear white boots with your work outfit if you're going to be getting dirty, but I think those were things that went together. And there's also this pair of red boots, which might have come with her original outfit? I'm not sure. I really forget what all goes with what. Okay, so then we have, this looks like a kind of a underlayer petticoat kind of set. So there's like a kind of a long top and then a skirt with an elastic waist that was stored with it. Although looking at this, it closes with a button. So now I'm not sure if this is an official American Girl thing. Yeah, okay. This has a tag, made in China for Pleasant Company, 1992. So I guess they did have some things closed with buttons, but I still don't think this was an official Kirsten outfit because I can't place it. Okay, now these were all part of her original meet outfit, the first thing that you get her in. So her very first outfit that you get, she's in this kind of like calico blue floral dress. It does close with Velcro, and there's also Velcro on the sleeves because you have to fit her big hand through and then close the wrist around it. And this is her little bonnet that she would come with, and this was an apron, which I believe would have come with that outfit, and there's a tiny handkerchief in the pocket that has embroidery on it. And there's also this little, I don't know, it's like a little pouch that would go around her waist. It's embroidered with 1854, which is the year that her story takes place, and it comes with a wooden spoon. And I believe some of these items came separately. Like probably when you got her, it was just the dress and the apron, and you had to get like the bonnet and the little spoon bag separate. All right, now here is her St. Lucia outfit that I mentioned several times. So it's just a white gown, sort of like a nightgown looking thing, and it has connected to it this red sash that I guess would be tied. And then I also have stored here with it this red, probably 2 ribbons that would go on her braids. It's like to tie the ends of her braids. And then this would be her nightgown outfit. Like I mentioned, they all have. So it's a white flannel nightgown with this blue embroidery and a blue kind of bow at the neck. And then this would have been sort of like a robe, but they probably called it like a house coat. And it does have little tiny buttons down the front that you can button it with. And there is a different pattern of calico under the collar. So again, kind of showing how, you know, they would use like every scrap of fabric. You know, if it's not the main fabric that you're making the garment out of, maybe that you can use it in the lining or in some other way. I believe this was her school outfit, her school dress. So it's red, and I don't know if this is what it's supposed to be, but there's a little pattern on it that sort of looks like division symbols. And then there's some kind of pleating down the front, and this was her little shawl that she would wear over her shoulders with it. Like that. Okay, this is also definitely a bootleg Kirsten outfit, kind of in the same style as that first one that I found. I think the lace trim is probably a giveaway, because why would she have really had a lot of clothes decorated with lace, right? Living on the frontier. But it's like a floral dress with a little apron over it, and it closes with buttons, and then it has a little matching bonnet that would go with it. And here is her birthday outfit. So I know I just said why would she have anything with lace, but this is like a very minimal kind of a bric-a-brac trim. So it's a kind of a pink gingham dress with short sleeves gathered at the hems and a matching apron, kind of I don't know what you'd call this, pinafore sort of thing. And then she has a flower crown with pink ribbons that she would have worn on her head for her birthday. And here's the dress that would have gone with these boots that they called her work outfit. This was one of the outfits that didn't really go with one of the stories or books, but there were like a couple little side outfits that you could get for them. Though I'm kind of wondering how accurate this is, because it has these kind of shoulder ruffles that were more popular, I feel like, in the 80s, the 1980s. So I don't know, maybe that was a throwback trend, but it's a very pretty teal kind of flannel material with stripes, and then this little white collar. And this would have been her summer outfit. So, oops, okay, there's some hair ties in here. This would have been her summer outfit that she wore fishing, she would have worn it with this straw hat that I keep moving around because there's no place to store it. This was probably one of my favorite dresses for her, and it's like a lighter weight cotton. It has faux buttons down the front, but the actual closure is, again, Velcro on the back and short sleeves. And one of the other little details that they put in, yeah, probably most of these, there's a couple extra layers of hems, so that as she grew, they would like let out these extra layers so her, you know, her dresses would last longer. So that's just, you know, one of the little details that they put into these. And then finally in here, looks like her winter outfit. So here's the hair ribbons that go with her winter outfit that have flowers embroidered on them. And she has this heavy wool skirt that also has this flower trim, and again these layers at the bottom, which even though they're like different colors, it was still probably for that purpose of being able to let them out as she grew. And there's a white top, I believe this is the top that goes with this outfit. And then also, this was some of my favorites, this knit sweater with real metal buttons that you can button up, and matching mittens that are on a string, you know, so you can like thread them through the sweater sleeves, and a hat with a big pom-pom. And this was one of the outfits that you could buy in girl size. And finally in this bag were a couple more of these little booklets. So there's the booklet of her winter story, there's the booklet of her Meet Kirsten set, and her school story. And here's Pleasant Dreams Kirsten, which shows her nightgown outfit and her bed and her trunk. So yes, that was definitely not her official bed. Her official bed looks much smaller, but it does have some little painted details on it, and her trunk has some painting on it as well. But the trunk is really just big enough for the doll. It definitely wouldn't have held all of this other stuff and in its original boxes, no way. So I hope you enjoyed taking this look at Kirsten Larson from 1854. If you had an American Girl doll, I would love to hear your story about who you had, what you did with her, where is she now. If you didn't, but like you always wanted one, let me know. Or if this is the first you've ever heard of these products, also let me know. I feel like they're kind of having a resurgence in popular culture right now. Also, what should I do with this? Because I brought it home now to my house, and I don't know. I mean, it's not in like pristine condition. I am pretty impressed with the way that I saved everything and stored it all together, but it's, I mean, I don't think it's like sellable really as a collector's item, and I don't necessarily want to sell it, but I don't know, what should I do with it? Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. Thank you for going through all this with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.